Last night on Fox News, Donald Trump did an interview, and people noticed what we've been talking about on this channel for a long time, which is the blatant decline of Donald Trump's cognitive abilities. He's never been a genius, that's for sure, but in the last few months in particular, we've all been seeing the decline, and more sources, as you see in this headline, more and more media sources are starting to point it out. It really was a man losing it, mixing lies, delusions, dementia, and megalomania.
Well, first of all, could you imagine if I were president right now and we had this massive attack from the coronavirus? You know, now they like to call it they have new names and they'll have other new names, but it's exactly what we had. We had the same thing. If that were me, they'd be saying, what a horrible thing, what a horrible job. I don't ever hear that, you know, and these are numbers in some cases that are equivalent to what it was, but we don't hear that. I think this, by the way, we could write a book on governors. I am the king of governors because I could tell you the good ones and the bad ones, and you have some very good ones and you have some really bad ones, both parties, but you have some good ones and some really bad ones. But I know.
So I just showed you two clips there. One of Donald Trump saying, could you imagine if all of this suffering was happening under me? Not realizing that for the entire last year of his presidency, it was happening under him, and he never did nearly enough to stop it. Like, could you believe this guy? One, the dementia, but two, the gall of him to say that if my leadership during this pandemic was bad, I'd get called out for it, when basically 500,000 people plus lost their lives, and much of that, not all of it, but much of that is on Trump and other ghoulish Republicans like Trump. And that line, like, I'm the king of governors. This guy is calling himself king. The whole point of the United States is that they didn't want to have a king. And you're seeing this man who's tried to launch a coup, who wanted to stay in power against the will of the people, now calling himself a king. Maybe it's just an offhanded statement, but I can't ignore the fact that the man who was still planning a coup and his supporters are still talking about an illegal August return to power is calling himself a king. And we have to be clear, this wasn't even the only moments during this interview where Trump went mad. He's still talking about the fact that woke American athletes are ruining sports and that woke people are ruining fun activities for people, just ranting like a senile old man. No one cares about this stuff. And then he also said that his loss in Texas, you know, where one of the people he endorsed openly lost a primary to a non-Trump endorsed Republican, that was actually a big victory for him, which is not at all what happened. It was a massive defeat for Trump because he spent money and made a public endorsement and recorded ads for his candidate, and she still lost, and she still raised less money than her opponent. It just shows a man that's really losing it. Like, really, I can't get past this, but this is the guy that made the entire last election a referendum on the dementia of his opponent. Donald Trump is the one every day, especially since the election, before it too, but since, has been showing all of the things that he accuses Joe Biden of. It's projection, and this really shows, guys, that he doesn't get it. Like, even if you throw the dementia aside, the fact that he says to himself offhandedly, if I was doing bad with the coronavirus, people would call me out on it, as if that wasn't the main reason he lost the election, shows that this man doesn't have the intellectual capacity, nor does he have the ability to reflect on his own failures to ever be president again.